What's up, Dave? How you doing?
Hi, Albert. I'm doing fine.
Whew.
Happy day to you. You got a drink? You got a drink with you?
I do. I have a nice blended Japanese whiskey in
Oh,
a jar that actually says Mason on it, so it's a real
wow.
Mason jar.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's gonna probably get me pretty drunk here before I realize it. So
Those jars hold a lot of secrets too. Those mason jars.
I do. What about you? What you
Yeah.
got?
I'm drinking a space camper from the Boulevard Brewing Company in Kansas City. It's an
Nice.
IPA. Very nice. Very nice. And it comes now in a tall boy can.
I love the tall boy cans. They get you
So
drunker.
cheers to you.
Cheers
And
to you, my friend.
so we were trying to pick a topic here for those tuning in. Our band is The Depth and the Whisper. We've been mulling over some topics for these webcasts, as we call them. And we decided today we're going to talk about
Gigs. Some of our
gigs,
favorite, most
shows,
memorable gigs.
some of our favorite shows. So who wants to go first?
Why don't you go ahead and start and see,
All
and
right.
then we'll commentate, and then we'll go. Why don't we do one until we're just,
Until we run out of shows.
yeah.
That's okay. So a show that, and I can't tell if it's the first one or the second one we did, but when when both of us were living in Kansas City, and we went to New York to play, and we got a gig that you booked at Arlene's Grocery, which is a famous club in Lower East Side Manhattan. And I don't know if it was the first time we played there or the second, but there was one in particular where like everybody showed up. Our friends, we had a lot of
Yeah.
friends in New York. We had people from Kansas City that had moved to New York. And it was sort of a big Kansas City reunion, but it was also more than that. It was like dinner and drinks, and it was more than just playing a gig. And I think that's what I remember is just the support and the love and the people saying, "Hey man, we're here for you." That's probably the first one I like start off with. A great memory for us.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. Just the first few times we came up to New York was really cool. I mean, we've always had pretty good success in New York, so it's always been nice.
Right. We
Um,
had a decent draw too.
yeah, it
There were
was.
other
I
New
mean,
York bands on the bill, and
in New York, if you're not familiar, they tally how many people come for each band to figure out how much they pay each band. So
yeah.
you get to see how many you draw versus other bands. And
Hmm.
I will say that we've always been lucky to at least outdraw or at least equal local bands here whenever we played. So
Yeah.
it's been pretty cool, even before I lived here. So
Right. And I
um,
think that validates the good feeling of going up there to play,
yeah,
and then you ended up moving there.
yeah, that's a good one. I
Yeah.
did when we were talking about this, I forgot, about that, but I agree. Those were some of the best times.
Yeah.
First one for me, I think, um, was we just finished doing the first EP, and we'd had some people record on it, and Troy Van Horn, Go Ray, and John Belgi, and
That's right.
they all said they wanted to play live with us. And I don't know if it wasn't our first show with them. I think it was one of the second or third, but it was at the Record Bar, and our friend Andre was having a birthday party.
All right.
And so we decided to ask Andre what song he would like to hear us play. And
Which
he
is
said,
funny
"Oh,
because we're not a cover band, or
we are
we
not a
played a
cover
few
band."
covers, but never
I
like,
honestly, I think it was my way of convincing him and his party to come to the show.
okay, yes, there you
So,
go. The mystery of what's going to happen.
well,
For
everybody knows he tries to book gigs that any way you can get people in the door, you got to try it. So,
Mhm.
um, so he said "Comfortably Numb" because it was a special by Pink Floyd. It was a
Right.
special song for him. He lived in Boston. I think the day he realized he was going to move back to Kansas City, he was in some mall going down an escalator, and the song came on over the malls, and it perfectly described how he was feeling because he didn't really want to have to move back at that time. I think that's what he said. He can, if he's watching, he can write a comment and correct
Yeah. Didn't he say his hands felt like two balloons
me. So
when
no,
he's
that was
writing?
another friend.
That just,
That was
oh,
That was another. We'll get into that story sometime too. We'll have to bring that gentleman on to speak
Oh
with him.
wait, yeah,
You want to
that's
hear
a
some
slip
weird
up.
stories? Yeah,
We'll talk about that one later on.
but he even said, "No, you don't have to do. I'll come no matter what. You don't have to learn." I said, "No, I told you we'd learn the song. We learned the song, and
Hmm.
for me, it was a good show. There's such great musicians we were playing with. I mean, just amazing.
Yep.
And I remember in the middle of that song, I mean, you're always so self-critical when you play. Like I'd missed that note singing, my guitar playing sucked, whatever it is.
Hmm.
But in that moment, I felt like I was outside listening and just I got chills on stage. It was like one of the few times that's happened, like really affected me. Like, wow, this is the coolest thing that I could do ever.
Yeah, I
And
know.
Troy was playing the solos, and you were kicking ass, and Go Go is Go Go. I mean, and
Yeah.
John was doing his thing, and I felt like I was just like privileged to be among all these amazing musicians, and doing this song. It just felt like a really cathartic moment, and it was just and Andre said later it was like he's like, that was so, I was blown away. So
Yeah. Well, I remember as Gogo said, it's about the moments, and that's
yeah,
always stuck with you and I.
absolutely.
That
I mean,
phrase, it's about the moments, and we created a moment there, and it was
it,
for a friend, but I'm really glad that the moment, it wasn't lost on us. We knew it was big, and we knew it was fun, and we were in the moment. We were in the moment.
yeah,
It
and
was
it's
good.
just one of those things that you can't experience unless you play music.
Hmm.
You can listen to music and it may feel you one way, but make you feel one way, but when you're playing that song and then you feel it and you're part of the sound,
Hmm.
you know that you're actually helping create that sound in the moment. It's a different feeling than just putting on headphones and listening to your favorite song. So
All right.
it was pretty cool. So anyway, that was, I think it was in January of maybe 2012 or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
All right.
I'm not good with.
What's the most people? What gig do you think has had the most people there to see us? And I have one in mind
One
that
that
I
I
want to talk
remember
about.
that we had over 80 people was at the Record Bar.
Okay.
I believe it was right around my birthday or something like that. That's
Okay.
one. Um, Go ahead. What do you have another one? What's the one you
You
have?
know, I think that one probably tops the one I'm thinking about. So, is that the one where? Is that the one? Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that the Record Bar one where we actually bought a keg
Yes.
and served it like separately from the bar? Like
Yes.
they allowed us to do that, right?
Yes. They allowed us to spend money and give people who came in like a free drink or two with tickets or whatever.
Yeah, a wristband or something,
We
right?
spent.
Just
We bought a
specifically,
keg and like $100 worth of beer for them. Sure.
and
Hey man, like I
they
said,
probably drank all of it and more.
and we made a profit on the show, so it goes to show you.
It's always good. That was a great plan. That was a great plan by you on that.
Is
The
is
one, go ahead.
No, no, I was gonna say, what's the one you were thinking of?
Yeah, the one I was thinking of, although you're probably right on the number of people, the one I was thinking of was kind of a strange show. Uh, we got into this. It was supposed to be some kind of showcase, but it was at the Roxy over
Okay.
on the Kansas side of the border in Overland Park, Kansas. Um,
Yeah, I remember that.
Jim Kilroy's
That was
club. It
like
was the
4 years ago, right? Like 3 or 4 years ago.
something like
Not that
that.
long ago.
And what I not that the performance was amazing, but had we pre-sold tickets. We had a bunch of ticket sales, and people were still showing up at the last minute and kind of piling in. I was out in the parking lot uh, selling and handing people tickets, friends, carloads of friends who were pulling up, and it was just kind of the rush of, it was a momentum. It was like people
Yeah,
piled in. We played, and it went by in a
Flash.
whirlwind.
Yeah.
But we had Aaron Crawford
And Phil Park.
and Phil Park
Yeah.
in the group at that for that gig. So
Right.
Phil lent his talents to us through Aaron,
Thanks, Phil.
but being able to have Aaron back there
Yeah,
just smacking the
oh,
drums. I
shoot.
mean, and he elevated us,
He
and this is
does,
why I'm
absolutely.
bringing it up, because we had played with other fantastic drummers, some really fantastic people and drummers. But that show, I mean, Aaron was on a mission at that show. And I remember, and that it's so everything was like heightened. It was elevated. There was
Yeah,
buzz. There was a I think, but again, the performance, we could sit and critique the performance. I felt like I wasn't even ready to play. I was so busy with people, and people wanted to know things, and
sure.
like the ticket thing and all that stuff. And then I'm just like, oh crap, it's time to go on stage. And I wasn't even ready. But then I'm telling you, when Aaron like kicked in, I was just like, whoa, here we are.
Yeah,
And it was just that it was a moment in time that I'm not going to forget
yeah. That's
anytime
I
soon.
remember that show too. I remember
Yeah.
that was. I think we have that on video somewhere.
Oh, I got a lot of shows on video. I
No,
got shows on video. I probably shared most of them with you at
yeah,
some
I think
point,
so.
but I have a lot of them.
Yeah, well, I remember I had long hair then.
Yeah, check that
I
out.
had it
Just
pulled
picture it,
back, I
everybody.
think, in that,
Yeah.
I remember the imagery, right? Yeah, I remember that. That was it because we played the Coda the next night, I believe, if I'm
Whoa,
remembering correctly. Because
that's amazing.
we played two shows that weekend. We played at
Okay.
Roxy for that showcase thing,
Yeah.
and then we played just ourselves at Coda the very next night,
Okay, that makes sense.
and with Phil and Aaron both again.
Yeah. Okay,
Um,
that's excellent. And
yeah,
we had a fair number of people come to that one too, who couldn't come to the Roxy
yeah.
one.
But I mean, there's 30 or 40 people in Coda, and that's a pretty full room, 30 or 40 people.
It's a
So,
small place. So anyway,
yeah.
your turn now, man. Give us
Um,
another show moment.
I think there was one we played. It was kind of a last minute show because our friend Michael, who he wanted to shoot us for something maybe that he and I were doing. I can't remember exactly, but
Okay.
I think that's what it was. And we decided to do a show. We got it at there's a place in Parkville that you and I used to go for open mics. Like, there's a train track right next to it. I never remember
Yep.
the name of it, but
It's had several names over the years, but at the time it was the Power Plant
yeah,
restaurant
yeah,
and
PowerPoint.
brewery.
So we
Mhm.
played it, and we had, I don't know, a really good crowd that night
Somehow on a
out of nowhere.
Sunday, it was the Sunday night, right?
It was a Sunday night, tons of people, and I remember that we didn't use a PA. We just sat on the stage and played,
Yep.
and people were like requesting songs or something from the
Hmm.
crowd, and we were having a conversation with them. It wasn't just us playing at them. We were
Hmm.
actually interacting with the crowd a little bit,
Hmm.
and we ended up playing like songs we didn't even know we knew, or I don't know. It was just a weird kind of.
Yeah.
We played for like an hour and a half. Just people kept wanting us to play. It was
Yeah.
really ended up being a really fun night for.
We had only written 10 songs, but we somehow played an hour and a half.
Yeah, and that was before we even recorded anything, I think.
Yeah.
So
Wow. Maybe we had only written fewer than 10
maybe
then
less.
at
Yeah,
that point.
maybe 3 or
So,
4 at that
whoa.
point.
How do we fill that much time? What did
I
we
don't.
play? Do you remember
I have
anything we
no.
played?
I have no
could
idea.
you could you sit down if someone had that set list and said do this right now? Could you think you could do that again?
No,
Maybe. It would have to be totally
no,
different
because
now.
there's songs on that I've already forgotten. I think.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
don't I don't so does our friend Michael have that one on a
he
recording
never
somewhere?
gets rid of anything, so I could probably see if he has that somewhere.
Whoa.
I
No,
mean,
I never thought of this, but just 10-second video clips in between all these
that would
would
be
be
cool.
like, here's the moment he's talking about or whatever. Like
I'll
that'd be
reach
kind of
out to
fun.
him and see if he's got it,
Maybe
and
not.
he
Maybe
might
he has it.
he
Maybe
might
not.
though. I mean,
So
with him, you never know. And that remember just when you were asking about the show with a bunch of people,
yeah.
and we've been like I said, we were talking about New York. We've been lucky. I remember we did a
Oh,
show
man.
here in New York, and I was living in Queens,
Okay.
and I don't know if you remember, but we went to the club, and they didn't have a cabinet or something.
Oh, It was
And
a I, I messed up that
okay,
day
okay,
because I had my car. I drove
that's
out to
right.
New York, and you said you had to work during the day, and we were
Hmm.
going to meet at the club at like 6 o'clock or
Right,
whatever, and play at 8 or whatever.
right.
And I didn't put a piece of equipment in the car from your apartment in Queens. So I went to the gig with the guitar cases and the other things that you told me to line up for you. And you said you got to the club, go ahead
It was
from
like
there.
6 o'clock, and we were playing at like eight or
Something
nine,
like that.
nine
Yeah.
maybe,
Yeah.
because we had another band with a guy that I worked with. It
Yeah.
was in October because the place I worked at was going to shut down for a week, so we just kind of had a gig where everybody could just leave work and go to the show,
Happy hour. Yeah.
happy hour
Right.
basically.
Hmm.
And there's another show where we had like 70 people there, which kind of blew my mind.
Hmm.
But
Was that Patty Riley's?
no, it was a place called
No.
Fontana's.
Fontana's.
Yeah,
Oh
and
man,
so
Fontana's, Lower East Side.
yeah, so we
Yeah.
we I'm like, okay, don't worry about it. I'll go back and get the cabinet
Yeah.
because I think we had the head but needed the cabinet.
And I
He's
was
like,
feeling
are you
the,
sure? What are you gonna do? And I'm like,
uh,
I'll just get on the train. So I
yeah.
got on the train,
Yeah.
and I got on one train. I got on another train. I got on a bus. I got to my house. I grabbed the
Yeah.
thing. I took it to the bus stop. I got on another bus with
Yeah.
a guitar cabinet. Got on another train. Got down there, and I think it took me an hour and a half ish,
Hmm.
2 hours,
Right.
and I was beat and
You
sweaty and gross.
you were.
And I got there, and luckily we had like a half an hour before we went on. I got there, and the first band was still on,
Yeah.
but we played, and that was a really good show. And
Yeah.
we ended up staying out there late with Rob and
Yeah.
everybody, having some
We
drinks.
had uh we had Melanie Morphin on
Melanie
lead
Morrison
guitar
playing
for that
guitar,
show at Fontana's.
and Mandy was there. And we were
Yeah.
hanging out with her afterwards,
Yeah.
and I think we left the venue at like 1 in the morning or something.
If it was that early, it would have surprised me.
Yeah,
I think it
maybe
was way
maybe
later than that.
maybe it was later than that. But it was a good time. It was a really
Yeah.
good time.
And
If
we
you've
had
ever,
a great, wonderful turnout. And I remember, me coming to New York, I gotten to know some of your friends, some of your
Mhm.
coworkers. So I felt like, and again, a shout out to our late friend Simon.
Mm.
He was that's one of the ones where we really, me and Simon's like, you're one of the guys, man. You're right here with us, and
Yeah, that's
it was just really cool, really
he
cool.
was that way for sure. He
Yeah.
always was accepting and made
Yeah.
people feel like they're a part of something. So
Now I think I have that show on video.
yeah,
So if we do pull a clip from that one at some point, and
okay. I'll look at the ones I have, and if there is one, I'll put it on there.
just
I know
even
Simon took pictures that night.
maybe just a couple of stills
I
from
can
that
put some
night with the
stills and
Fontana's logo in
yeah,
the
there's one,
background.
and then a friend Jared took one that we posted before. It's black and white of all
Yeah.
four of us on stage. It looks pretty cool,
Yeah.
and you can
I
see the crowd.
had I was dressed in Christmas colors somehow. I had a green and white shirt and I had red pants.
Okay, yeah,
That's what I remember about it.
it's nice. Uh,
All
but
right.
yeah, I remember that show because it was just such a hectic thing, and at the end of it,
Yeah.
it was just like, yeah, it ended
Yeah.
up being a really good show. So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
everybody, the bar, and everybody was super happy. So,
Right. And your coworkers' band was really good. Everybody was fantastic that
it was
night.
just a really fun night. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Very good. And this is not is if it's my turn,
it's your
I'll
turn.
just give a quick shout out to Patty Riley's because we did a similar thing at Patty
The
Riley's.
same band and
The
yeah.
same friends. Yeah. But
I
anyway,
would
that's not
tell
the one I'm going to bring up.
I would tell you the name of the band, but they've changed names twice since
Yeah.
then, and I honestly don't remember off the top of my head what the
I
new
think they're
band name
called the
is.
Name Changers. No, I'm
Let's call
kidding.
them the
Kidding.
name changes.
All right. So what I'm going to bring up, um, and when I mentioned uh, that that Melanie um, played on that Fontana's show with us, so I'll bring this one up, and then maybe you can talk about it because I think you're the one that actually got the gig and got it put together. But the summer NAMM show in Nashville, Tennessee. And
Yeah.
we made a special trip to Nashville to do that show. And we reunited with our former drummer, Kelsey Cook, who just agreed. She lives in Nashville. So she agreed to just come on and play that show with us. We went
Yeah.
and did a quick rehearsal in the afternoon with her and with Melanie, because she was going to be there with some other clients.
Yeah. So
And
I,
tell how that gig even came about. How did we end
well,
up playing that?
I think that if I remember correctly, our friend Rob, who's played drums with us before,
Right.
and we share a rehearsal space with him here in
Yep.
New York.
Shout out to
Um,
Rob. Rob, how's it going?
he sent me the link or told me about it. There's something called Bands at NAMM, and you can apply for LA
Yeah.
or Nashville.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was Maloney too. It could have been either
Yeah,
one.
they were both going to be out there, and we kind of thought
Um,
we should get
so
in on this,
I
right?
just sent. There was an online form we filled out, attached some songs, and sent it off. And I honestly didn't think that
Yeah.
we were. How many times do we ever get selected to do any of this stuff? Not very
I
often,
don't know.
which is fine. I don't care. It's not.
That's
But
another topic,
yeah.
but,
Uh,
but go on, please.
0 for 8.
Yeah.
Anyway, um, so I was in Las Vegas, and I had for work, and I was on my way back to New York, and Patty was with me, and I
Mhm.
got an email in the airport that said, "Hey, you've been selected to play Summer NAMM in Nashville," and I was like, "Nah, that can't be."
Nah.
And then I read it again. I was like, "Okay,
Yeah,
so
what's the fine print? If you pay us $1,000, you can
yeah."
play. Like, you're
So
looking for fine print, right?
exactly. There's always fine print.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, I was like, Rob wasn't going to go there for some reason.
He wasn't.
No,
Okay, that's
he wasn't. There was a reason
okay.
he wasn't going to be available. He was on a tour or something.
Okay.
And so I was like, and then, but Melanie said she was already going
Oh yeah,
because
Rob
she
wasn't
had
going.
an endorser there
Yeah,
that wanted her to come
that's right.
play at their booth. So she was going. And so I was walking through the airport talking to Patty, and I was like, oh my God, who are we gonna get to play drums to come to Nashville?
Hmm.
And I just had totally forgotten about Kelsey. Sorry, Kelsey. And but Patty, who's never met Kelsey, I don't think. So what about the woman you used to play with when you? I was like, doesn't she live in Nashville? And I was like, yeah.
Hmm.
Then I'm like, how do you know that? But
Yeah.
and I texted her in the airport and said,
Mhm.
hey, we just got selected to play NAMM in June in Nashville. Are you free? And she's like, yeah, let's do it.
Mhm.
And I was like, holy crap. So you and I don't know if I think, did I fly into Nashville and you drove?
I think so. I drove and you flew in there. Yeah, I think so.
And then we stayed at an Airbnb that had like
Yep.
little brown recluse spiders, if
Oh
I
yeah, the
remember correctly.
Airbnb was full of brown recluses, man. I'll never forget
It was a
that.
nice place, but scary. And then it was an interesting gig because we were on the
Yeah.
same bill with Charlie
Yeah,
Daniels
we played there was us and then there was one more act and
and
then
then
Charlie
Charlie.
Daniels was the headliner. So we got to play, it was on the main outdoor stage.
Mhm.
Uh basically an hour before Charlie Daniels, and it was pretty cool. There were people coming up to us, and you weren't allowed to sell anything. You couldn't sell your merch,
Yeah,
but
you
you
didn't
could
give
give
it
things
away.
away as promotions. And people were like crowding up to us
Yep.
and like wanting stuff. They're like,
I
"What?
think we
We
had,
got
I don't know,
shirts, whatever." And
20 CDs and some shirts, and
yeah,
by the time we were done playing, they were all gone.
yeah.
And they
And
had it.
then there was a guy that interviewed us for a magazine.
Sean, I think was his name.
Yeah, and it was like a Nashville, like a lifestyle magazine.
Yeah, and
And
they came out just a little blurb about us in there.
yeah, he did a
Um,
interview with us. We sat down in the lobby of the
the-
big convention
but
center there
yeah,
and did an interview. Remember that?
um, so that was fun. I mean, that was a good opportunity because we got to
Mhm.
go to NAMM for free, and I
Oh,
saw a friend
wonderful.
that I knew from college days that was living in Nashville.
Yeah. I
At
remember
bar.
we were going around taking pictures of guitars and sending them to friends who like played that particular brand of
Yeah,
guitars, like the Michael Kelly guitars. We're like, hey Troy, look at these.
yeah, I
Remember
remember that.
those?
That was fun.
And
Oh,
I ended up picking up just a quick side gig with Melanie at her endorser, one of her booths
you
that
should have made them endorse
she
you.
was at. That's what I should have done. But she asked me to come and just play bass while she played guitar solos right in the booth there in the middle of the convention center. So I went and did that. Um,
It was cool.
but
It was an
that was
interesting
such
gig.
a cool couple days. Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. I had it was fun. I've tried since to get it applied to the one in
Yeah.
LA, but
Mm-hmm.
so far no luck. But that's
The
okay.
distinction was, and I think this stands out to me, is we were the only rock band
Yeah,
to play that day other than Charlie Daniels. Like
yeah,
we were the only rock band selected to play.
yeah.
The
And there
rest of them
was
were like, there was a guitarist who did a bunch of looping and played 10 guitar parts on top of one another. There was a looper. I call them loopers. There was that guy. And then there was like a folk band or duo. But we were like, we were rocked up, man.
yeah,
We had the full drum kit. Kelsey back there beating
yeah.
the heck out of the drums
It was
and
great.
Melanie
It was,
playing wicked guitar solos up there.
yeah, I remember it was nice to play with Kelsey again. That's what I
That's
remember
right.
from doing
That's right.
that. And they had the sound, the PA pumped into the doors like inside, so
Yeah.
people would attract people. And we had some people come in, just like I remember. This is since we're talking about gigs. That reminded me when people would come crane their neck and see what was going on. We played Pittsburgh.
Oh yeah,
Remember
Howlers.
the place?
Howlers in
Howard.
Pittsburgh.
And they had a Penguins game on that night.
Oh yeah.
And so in that room there was a bar. It's kind of like Davies,
Mm-hmm.
which I got my
Split
Davies
into
shirt.
two rooms. And Arlene's in New York, kind of
Yeah,
there's
in
two
Arlington.
rooms, so you
And
can
you would go
got
in,
your bar
you have a bar, and then you go through a
at your
door, and then there's
stage.
the venue.
Yeah.
So nobody, the bar was packed,
Oh yeah, 100 people in there in the bar.
and we had 3 people in the venue,
Yeah.
but the door was open.
Mm-hmm.
So you could see the door from the stage,
Mm-hmm.
and there were people standing in the door just looking in.
Yep, looking at it was like I'm going to demonstrate.
Yeah,
Like they're
exactly.
looking in the door like this.
Exactly. And you're like, just come in. At this point, I mean,
And the
who
door
cares
and
if
the
you
guy at the
pay?
door was like, "You got to pay to get in
It's
this
like,
room."
just
And
let them in. Let's have a
like
good time.
it's just
I mean,
yeah.
and we got a free pizza out of it.
Hey, the venue bought us pizza. I paid.
Yingling.
They shot that gig on video. The venue did, and I
Right.
paid to have a copy of it. You know how much it cost me?
$1?
$1.
Yeah.
The cost of a DVD, just the raw blank DVD was like, I just want $1 for the DVD.
Yeah.
The sound guy, but he burned the show onto a DVD, and I paid him $1, which venues that are charging bands, we don't have to mention them, that charge bands for the video. Hey, you want this video? It's $50. You want this audio? It's $100 or whatever. There are venues doing that.
Sure.
But this guy was like, give me $1 for the DVD and you can have the show. And I was
Wow.
like, man,
Do you have any more?
whew.
I
Yeah,
have
there's
one
lots,
more.
but I got to think of them. Why don't you give me one? That
Well,
might
it was,
trigger me to do another one.
I don't know I don't think it was the last gig we played, which was a cool one at the Brick in Kansas City. That was a fun show.
Oh, that was awesome.
But the month before, I think it was the month before, we played Bowery Electric here in New York. And
It was a few months before, but yeah, they were.
somewhere, it was like, because we had the same lineup with Luke and Aaron and
It was Luke and Aaron. That was December at Bowery Electric.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
December.
So it was several months, like 5 months before the
Yep.
Brick, or 3
Yep.
months before. Anyway,
Yep.
but it was it was Simon, our friend Simon, who's passed away. It was he had his friends come for his birthday party.
Yeah.
So he had,
Yep.
there were a bunch of people there for that. It was a great show. It was a
Yeah.
packed room.
Oh yeah, great club, Bowery Electric.
It's a great,
Great club.
I would
Yeah.
definitely want to play there again. But it was, I remember because it was like this last time that Simon was able to come to a show.
Hmm.
But it was just a fun night because I think we sounded really good. It was first time with Luke, and it was interesting to have a guitar player like Luke because he's not like a super shredder, but he can play some leads, but he's good at textures. So
He's a texturer. Yeah.
I
Good.
think that the guitar
Good all
part
around
sounded
player.
a lot closer to what we have recorded than what other
Yeah.
people tend to play.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just a fun night with everybody, and
Yep.
we made a pretty decent amount of money, and we paid everybody, and it was just a good
That's right.
all around show. So
Those are always good nights when you feel good about being able to, like, we've always paid our musicians,
sure,
but when you actually it actually covers that.
and
That's a good night.
yeah, you covers it, and you get a little bit yourself, and
Yeah,
that
like
was
us ending up with a couple bucks is like, it's almost like strange, like,
yeah,
wait a minute, how
exactly.
did we get this?
We like what, this, we're actually can make money doing this.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a good one.
But that was one that sticks out to me, and the shows in Kansas City
Mhm.
last year were good too, with the
Yeah,
same lineup. So
yeah, and that was, we played the Brick, and that was a rocked up
that
night,
was
and
fun.
we got that one on video
We do have
for
that one.
sure. And then the other one was at an in-store at Revolution Records.
Yeah, and
That
that one
was
was
more,
that's on video as well.
yeah, and that's
Mm.
more going back to the old days of DIY.
Yeah,
You plug
just
in any old PA, any old cables,
grind it out.
whether they work or not, and just go for it. And it's squealing and
Well, one
things
of
are going on, but you just do it anyway,
the the
right?
the Bowery show, I remember
Mhm.
we were going to try to use in ears, remember?
Oh yeah.
And they didn't have the cable because we had done in ears in our rehearsal, and it was cool. When you get to the
Yeah.
club and we're all excited, we're going to do a first show with in ear monitors, and
Hmm.
they're like, "Oh, we don't have that cable," and we're
Yeah.
like, "All right,
Yeah.
just to do it old school.
Back
Just
to
listen
old
to the monitor.
school right
Just
there.
rock out."
Yeah.
So
But Aaron, he plays to a click in his ear,
yeah,
and there's certain reasons why. We'll get into that in other episodes, but the band was tight
it
that
was
night at Bowery Electric,
absolutely. We
and I'm
were on
glad
that night for sure.
there was a lot of people there to see that one. And
Yeah.
well, Albert, I've really enjoyed talking about these shows, and I'm
Me
sure
too.
we could have another episode just on shows.
Absolutely. We never
Uh,
mentioned the place in Canton, Ohio. We don't have to get
we're
into
gonna have
that.
a whole episode on that.
Yeah, we could easily have a whole episode on that.
Yeah,
So yeah,
but
so that's good. It's good. It's good talking to you, and see you in a bit.
let's do that. Let's do this again, and we'll see everybody next time with a new topic.
Peace, man.
What's in my head?